Phone is off.
And here we are. So welcome everybody to Speaker Probe Lab. It's Tuesday, 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And we gather here every Tuesday to go over different questions that people have about the speaker industry. And today we're talking about limiting beliefs in your life, but more importantly, limiting beliefs in your business, how they can stifle you in business, how they can stifle your personality. And it trickles down to affect the people in your life, the people that are closest to you. And when you start telling yourself stories and lies about things they're just not true, it really can cripple you in business. So I thought this would be a great topic. I had some people actually ask me about it. And we're not going to have Dr. EJ. He wasn't able to make it. Maybe he can pop in a little bit. We're waiting for Stacey Flowers, but I have here with me Heather Paris, which I'm super, super excited was able to join us. Heather is a Robbins Madonna certified strategic interventionist. And if you're not sure what that is, basically she knows how to go inside people, take their stuff, show it to them, and then rearrange it. So we both have the same coaching certification, which I think is pretty cool. That's how I know Heather. And she uses her coaching superpowers as a family life coach, an author, and a speaker. And she primarily works with parents, teens, couples, and families. And I am going to put her web address right down here in the comments for anybody that is in the room that wants to follow. So Heather, welcome.
Thank you.
I'm going to start with you because right now you're the only one in the room as far as my my guests. But I do want to tell people who I am. I always forget this part. My name is Joleene Moody. I'm a professional speaker, author, and coach. And when I'm not on stage speaking, I'm off stage teaching entrepreneurs like you how to find and create paid opportunities and how to expertly close those clients from those rooms so that you work less and earn more. So the subject of limiting beliefs, Heather, this isn't new. Nor is the fact that we need to shift whatever beliefs are sabotaging us. So we tell ourselves things like, I'm not good enough, or I can't be a speaker, I suck, or no one will ever hire me to be their coach / speaker / guru, or I can't make any money doing what I'm doing. We're all subject to these debilitating beliefs, right? But how are they hindering us, and what can we do to change them? So my question is, why do we struggle so much with negative voices and beliefs in the first place?
Yeah, that's a good question. Hi, Joleene. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me here. Joleene, the thing that I've been hearing a lot of lately is people are saying, why would anyone want that? Why, who's going to pay for that? Why would anyone want my service? Or I also hear, well, there's a lot of other coaches, so it's probably just too many. Which is, to me, that is like the worst excuse in the entire world, because there are billions and billions and billions of people on this planet, and there is no possible way in all of my years of life could I possibly ever reach every single one of them, nor will every single one of them want to hear my voice. So, when I work with people, I tell them all the time, you're unique, and there's going to be people that hate you, there's going to be people that love you, and you don't have to try to convince the people that hate you. You're not trying to convert them. You're not like a missionary trying to convert people. You are going out and you're speaking to the people who want to hear what you have to say. That's it. That makes it so much easier. But that's the biggest limiting belief that I'm finding lately when I'm talking to business people. As far as overcoming it, yeah, absolutely. We just need to change our thought process, and it's actually not very hard to do. But I think one of the most important tips, Joleene, is to get around people that are also go-getters and go-givers, not negative Nellies. Because if I surrounded myself with a bunch of people that were like, yeah, we can't do this. Yeah, our town sucks. Yeah, coaching is too hard. There's too many coaches in the industry. I would get really depressed really fast, because who wants to be around people like that, So I think that one of the biggest tips that you can do is to surround yourself with supportive people. Supportive. Family does not mean supportive. Other coaches does not mean supportive. You need to really hone your skills by consciously picking the people that you surround yourself with. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. And you said something that really rang true with me. When we're hopping out on this entrepreneur adventure, there are people all around us that have been there, they've done it, they're bigger than us, they have more clients, they're speaking on more stages. And I know I've experienced that. I still do. I'm 6 years in business, and I think, oh my God, they're not going to choose me. It seems to be a natural dialogue in our brain. Where did that dialogue come from?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was your actual question, wasn't it? So, I got talking and then I forgot. Okay, so here I can tell you exactly what happened. So, and this is going to all be in the new, I'm working on a new book. It's a parenting book, and this is in it. When we're born absolutely perfect. We know how to get our needs met. We scream, we cry, we pee ourselves, we can't feed ourselves, but yet somebody comes to our rescue because we know how to voice what we need by, you know, crying or yelling or whatever. Somehow as we age, that is taken out of us. We learn to self-deprecate instead of self-advocate. So as we get older, and it's not like all parents are bad and that we do this on purpose, but we as parents, we do that. We teach our kids to quiet down. We teach our kids to stop asking for what they need. We become a gold star sticker society so that people are only looking for validation rather than actually getting their needs met on a high quality level. So that's what happens. We know as infants, we know exactly what to do. But then as we age, we, you know, come up against a teacher that says, you know what, you're just not good enough. Don't even bother trying that. Or, you know, a parent that says, you're never going to be a movie star, so let's be more realistic. Or whatever, you know what I mean? There's always somebody that's going to just knock us down a little bit. And if we aren't taught how to be resilient to those things when we're younger, that's what happens. We just get a heavier and heavier and heavier burden as we age. And that's exactly what happens. That's what we in America especially do not teach kids to be self-confident or resilient. We teach them to quiet down and share with everybody. Everybody needs to have some. No, that's BS. I don't teach my kids to share. No way. I mean, I teach my kids, like, you know what? If you want to share your toy, that's up to you. And guess what? Kids will probably want to play with you more because you have done that. But if that's something special, you don't have to share it. I don't share my cell phone with people. I don't share the things that are special or whatever. I don't go out and share my Camaro with people because those are things that are special to me. So why do we force kids to do that? Why do we force them to accommodate other people? Now, I'm not talking about not teaching them compassion. All of my kids know compassion too. And we do that because we, in a very organized way, we go out and we do service projects together as a family. So my kids are very, very compassionate, but they're not forced into things. Do you know what I mean?
So if we, like we're constantly kids, if we force them into being, well, maybe force the beliefs onto them, you're not gonna be able to do this. Like I remember specifically, I was waiting, I was bartending. And there was an artist or a singer that was up on the screen over here on my right. And I'm looking at her and she's playing the guitar. And I looked at the one lone guy who was at the bar at the time. And I said, you see that chick up there? That's going to be me someday. And right away he was like, oh, Joleene, seriously, you've got to reach for goals that are closer to you. And I became immediately triggered. And I said, you just watch. Now you just watch. What is it about? So clearly someone like this guy, and his name was Gary, he's been beat up left and right, told he can't have certain things, and just accepts what is. So he doesn't have the conditioning as a child. As an adult, talk to me about some breakthroughs or barriers or things we can do so we can ask people what we're worth, so we can believe that we're going to be chosen.
Right. Well, first of all, one of the things that I like to do with my clients in particular is, it's very popular to say, take down your walls, don't put up walls. BS. Can we swear on this show? I don't want to say the actual word if we're not allowed to swear.
No, I think you're okay. You're okay.
Okay, so, I call bullshit on that. I say, absolutely put up walls. Think about it as your property, right? Your house. You have a fence around your house. There's nothing wrong with that. That fence shows your boundaries. Here are my boundaries. Please don't come into my yard with your dog and let your dog poop on my front lawn. That's a boundary. So we put up a fence around our house. But and so people put up walls around themselves and they don't let people in. I say that's okay. I'm okay with that because it's very, very important to have boundaries. And most people do not have boundaries or limits for themselves. But what I like to tell my clients is when you're putting up those walls or boundaries or whatever you want to call them, make sure you also install a gate. Because if you put a fence around your property but no gate, you can't get out and you can't let the good people in when they come to visit you. So when you have your walls up around you as a person, make sure you have a gate, and a gate that you control so you know who's coming in and out. Most people, because they have such loose boundaries, they are just letting all of this bullshit come in. So anybody can just come in and say, like Gary, oh, you'll never do that. That's too big. You know, those are the kind of people you want outside of your boundaries, outside of your fence. And then when somebody like Joleene comes knocking at your gate, and I talk to you and I'm like, oh, wow, really super cool person, totally positive, go-getter like me, go-giver, believes in all these great things. Let me open the gate and let you in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what happens. I mean, we just when we're little, we're not told that, you know what, that person should have never called you ugly. That was a mean thing to say. And it doesn't mean that you are ugly. You know what I mean? It means that person has an issue with themselves. You know that popular phrase, if it bothers you, it's about you. Every parent needs to teach their kid that. You know, every parent needs to tell their kid, those kids that are picking on you or saying mean things, it's not about you, it's about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's the hardest thing, I think. Stacy is just joining us. That's the hardest thing, is to understand that taking things personally, that it's never about us, that it's always about them. And I mean, I've got a 12-year-old I'm trying to teach that to, but I'm also in my 40s and I've got clients I'm trying to teach that to, that it's never about them. So it's very evident that many of us are very bruised. And you had said earlier on that changing our beliefs or our thoughts is fairly easy, but it's not for everybody. So take us through some steps or something we can do. And I'll give you a perfect scenario. Say I'm about to sit down and call somebody that I think wants my services. They heard me speak. I don't know why Stacy, are you in? I don't see you. It says she went on the air, but I don't see her. But anyway, I'm getting ready to call a client, and all of a sudden I think, I can't call this person. This person doesn't want to hear me. This person doesn't need my services. I'm not even going to bother. What can I do in that very moment when I hit that terror barrier to change it and turn it around so I can succeed and I can help this person?
Yeah. When I say it's easy, by the way, I mean that the concepts are easy, but you have to apply them, which is not always easy. So building good, healthy habits is what's really important, to use these easy steps. So if you're about to call a client and you're really nervous, you're really scared, number one, first visualize it. Think about what you're going to say. You know what I mean? You don't have to practice the words, but be prepared. Because if you're prepared, you're going to be feeling more confident about it. So, you know, go over the call a few times in your head. Hi, Joleene, this is Heather Paris. I'm here to tell you about whatever, blah, 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 right? Like actually practice it. And be prepared with your information in front of you. Get your comfort, whatever physical comforts you need. Like I would need to be here in my office with my comfy chair. I've got my water bottle right here. I know I've got my earbuds, so I'll be able to hear everything. Whatever creature comforts you need to have around you, do that. Then if you're still having problems, then you can start to think about what could go, like I like to call it worst case scenario. What is the worst case scenario? The worst possible thing that could happen from me calling somebody is they yell no and hang up on me. Is that going to kill me? That's where the questioning starts to come in. Will I die if they hang up on me? Will I cry if they hang up on me? What's the worst possible thing? Oh, the worst possible thing is I might feel bad for a few minutes. I can handle that. That's not so bad.
Yeah. One of the things I learned when I started coaching with my coach was that our subconscious mind cannot determine from a past experience. There's no timeline. So what happens just before we pick up that phone is we automatically think we're going to experience rejection, and we are actually reflecting back on something that happened to us. But again, our subconscious isn't like, gosh, you were 8 years old when that happened. It thinks it happened in that moment. So you're talking about habituation, practicing.
That's right.
And practice. What would you say to people that aren't even willing to do that? Do they not want it bad enough?
I would say, you don't want it bad enough. I mean, come on. At some point, you have to take action. I could sit here all day long saying, in fact, I'll give you an example. Right now, I'm working in my community. I'm trying to create a community resource center. an actual physical building
Wow.
where people can go, young people can go, so they're not participating in risky behavior like getting drunk in the woods or breaking into homes, right? So it's a safe place for kids to go where they can get resources and they can get off the streets. And also, it's a place where young families, young parents can come and learn some things, take workshops, things like that, get any kind of resources in the community that they need. So this is something that I've dreamed of doing, having this community resource center. And I have been told, no, 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 for months. It's driving me crazy because I know it's going to happen because I want it.
Yeah, yeah.
And I always get what I want. That's my mantra. So, you just have to keep taking more and more steps and just trying different things. So today, that's where I was before this. I was at my Rotary group and I said, hey guys, I don't normally ask for help, but I'm going to today. I need help. So I talked to my Rotary group of about 40 people and I said, look, I'm having a hard time getting data. I need statistics to prove that there's a statistical need in our community. And so who can help me get data? And everyone's like, oh, I can help, I can do this, I can do that. And if I could have a million times stopped, I could have a million speed bumps along the way stopped, but I'm not going to. And so today at Rotary, everyone's willing to help. And now I've got some new avenues, new resources to exhaust. And it's just about staying the course. You have to want it bad enough.
Yeah.
It's that simple. I mean, I could have said no, and it would have been so much easier to just say no and forget about this project. But I'm passionate about it because there are kids in my community that are living under the poverty level, that are getting in trouble, that are using drugs, we have a 25% dropout rate at our high school here in Port Byron. And I can't live with that. I can't. If I'm here and I'm alive, I can do something about it. I'm going to do something about it. So I'm passionate.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, if you're not passionate about it, then no, you're not going to want to do it. Then just flush it. At some point, especially today, like most people are juggling too much.
That's a great
Sometimes
point. I want to jump in and grab that before I forget. You said just flush it. I think sometimes people go after things because they think they have to, or they do certain things because they think they have to, or they need to please this person or that person. So I'm really excited that you said that for two reasons, because I want everyone that's hearing this to understand it's not about what other people define for you. It's about what you define for you. And there isn't a person on this earth that can't reach in and discover and grab what it is they want. They, like you said earlier, they totally need to surround themselves with the right people. And that's difficult. Mm-hmm. I was reading a thread today about leaving groups or people behind that are toxic. I saw that a couple times today. I don't know if it was the same post recycled in two different areas, but I thought, man, that is so true, because there's a couple of spaces or areas that I'm in personally where there's a lot of negative people, and I personally can't handle it anymore. And I am at a place in my life where that's all there is. I know what it is that I want. I know what I want to achieve. Do I have doubts? I'm human. I absolutely have doubts, but I have tools, and I'm willing to put the tools in place. So let's talk a little bit more about tools. So you talked about, we talked about habituation. We talked about practicing, doing things over and over again. Give me another tool that people can investigate or look into that can serve them when they're freaking out and they're having these limiting beliefs and they don't think they can grow.
Yeah. Okay. So my number one tool, and I have to say this, is you need a coach. You need somebody to be accountable to. If it's not a coach or counselor, find somebody. Do not settle for, you can't say, oh, he's my mentor, if it's just like a friend that you talk to once in a while. That is not a mentor. A mentor or a coach is somebody that you are going to barter or pay to hold you accountable. We all need that. I can't stress that enough. I have a coach. I am a coach. I need somebody that's going to help keep me on track. Somebody that's going to, when I have an idea that it needs to be flushed, they're going to say, really, are you really invested in this? I'll say, no, okay, that has to go on the back burner or whatever. You have to have somebody that holds you accountable. And it's really important that we do associate with people that are above our level. Because if everyone is, and I don't mean like levels like, oh, they're not worthy or they're below us. I just mean like they're further along or less farther along than where we are or where we want to be. You need somebody that's above you.
And
You
someone
need
that's going
somebody
to
that you're like,
challenge you.
oh,
And, you know, the
yeah.
one thing when I talk, because I've had a coach for a while now, the number one limiting belief, guys, ready? Because you already know the answer to this, that they say because they can't hire a coach is,
No money.
I don't have the money. And here is what I know. When I hired my coach, I was only making $13,000 at the time. That was it. And I had a damn good coach because he was able to challenge me with questions and basically said to me, what's going to happen if you don't do this? You're going to be stuck in the same space that you are now if you're not willing not just to do something different, but to take risks to get there. And his price, by the way, was $20,000 for this guy. And I knew he was right on, and he's been my coach for a long time, and I have moved mountains working with him. So for anyone that wants to diss or have, it's tough coaching. We're all coaches in here. It's tough because there's good apples and there's bad apples. It's always going to be like that no matter what we do. But in 13 weeks, I was able to make the money back that I owed him, and then I continued. And the reason is because 1, I was hungry. 2, I was tired. I was tired of the BS stories and the lies I was telling myself, and I was ready to do something different. So for anybody out there that is saying, I don't have the money, here is what I would say to you. I would say to you that that's exactly why you need a coach, because that block and that limiting belief is never going to go away unless you reach out for help. So I had to put in my 2 cents there.
No, you're absolutely right. I hear that too. And you know, the thing is that if you're saying I don't have the money, you're never going to have the money. Right. You know, at least at the very least say, I'll get the money. You know what I mean? I might not have it right this second, but I'll get it. I'll work towards it, or whatever it is. You have to pay to play.
And you have to want
That's it. You have to pay to play. You have to. You can't, you know, you invest money in other things. You know, I tell people all the time, do you have TV? Do you smoke? Do you drink alcohol? You know what I mean? Do you gamble? Do you buy lottery tickets? There is a way to put money together if you need something immediately. And if you want to invest in your business, you need to invest in hiring somebody that's done it, that can help you, that can guide you and hold you accountable. I believe that 100%.
Great question that I ask my clients is, what are you willing to give up? Which is exactly what you're saying. What are you willing to give up? You know, if you wanted something or needed something bad enough, if your car didn't have 4 tires and you didn't have a dime in the bank, you can either let your limiting beliefs keep you on that road with no wheels, or you'll find a way to find that money.
That's right.
Yeah, and your money story will change. I'm sorry. I get excited too.
No, that's right. And you know, Joleene, I know you've read my book, but you know, I've been there. I know what it's like. I didn't live some privileged life and had a huge trust fund, and now I'm rich and awesome. No, I was a single mother with 3 kids. I had 3 jobs, 3 kids, 3 jobs, and I worked my ass off to get where I am today. And it was because I was willing to sacrifice, because I was willing to give some things up, like television, like cable, you know what I mean? But I never looked at it like I was giving something up. I looked at it always as, what am I gaining? I want to be around this person because look at what this person has. I want to learn what they're doing. I want to know exactly how to get where I'm going. I'm not giving anything up. I'm investing. I'm investing in me. And when I take on a new client, I tell them, you're not investing in me as a coach. You're investing in yourself. This is an investment for you. Just like you would pay for an education if you went to university, you wouldn't think twice about paying $40,000, $50,000 a year for an education. It's the same exact thing. You have to invest in yourself. You have to be willing to, because if you're not willing to invest in yourself, how are your clients going to invest in you or buy your products?
Absolutely. That's something that my coach, I call him Master Chris. He gets a kick out of that. One of the first things he taught me, and when I learned how to have conversations with potential clients, the first thing they would say, I learned to ask the right questions. What do you want? Why do you want it? Why do you think you don't have it already? What is your greatest struggle? What's going to happen if you don't change this? Helping them really pinpoint their pain. And when they can recognize that pain, then they know they have to do something. Then they say, okay, I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to kill all these limiting beliefs. I'm ready to go out there and make a difference. And you go, great, that'll be $15,000, please. And they go, oh, would you look at the time, or 10,000 or 5,000 or whatever it is. And right away, you can, I mean, this has happened with some, and I don't know, Frank, if you can speak to this, or Heather, you can, but right away, everything changes with them. And now what's more important is not getting their life back on track and releasing that ongoing pain. Now what's more important is money. And I'm never afraid, and I have been told that, well, I don't know if aggressive is too strong of a word, but I'm not afraid to speak the truth. And I've had people get angry with me because I've said to them, then you don't want this bad enough. And then they tell me I don't understand. And I do, because I was there too. And I have my story. None of us are unique, by the way, just to, I mean, we're unique with things we do, and who we are and the way we wear our hair and the way we speak and all of that. But we are all one, and we all have the same problems. They just look a little bit different. And what they're afraid of is not putting the money in to invest themselves. I think what they're most afraid of is the risk of not knowing if they're going to be able to make that money back and have that return back. Hey, Frank wants to come in. I think Frank is a business owner, executive startup. I bet you he's got a zillion things to say.
Hi there.
Hey, Frank. Hey, Jill. How are you?
Good. Heather, I know you through Facebook. I've seen you.
Hi, Frank.
Can you hear me all right?
Cool.
Yeah. Do you have a headset? Because you might echo. If you don't, it's okay. But you might echo if you don't have.
Oh yeah, I agree. People hesitate, and they, especially when it comes to money that seems like big money for them, because when you're starting from nothing, or you're trying to make the leap from working in a situation where you've always had a paycheck, a job coming in, even if it's not a good job, it becomes this habit that you don't know how to break out of. So having the guts, the gumption, and the know-how to break from that, to go start something new, whether it's finding a new job or starting a new career as an entrepreneur, it's just a real sticking point. So I agree with Heather what you're saying. You got to have a coach, someone who's been there, done that. I think it might have been Wayne Dyer who said, there's always somebody further down the path than you, or further up the path than you. So,
that's right.
Find the people further up and latch onto them and look for help from them. A lot of times you've got to pay to play, as you were saying. You've got to find somebody who's experienced who can help you get over those hurdles. And then it's incumbent on us then as coaches and mentors and teachers to reach down the ladder and give the people just starting out a helping hand and get them started along their path.
Yeah, that's why I started this particular show. Because
coaches and high-end coaches at the top end, but if you're just starting out and you don't know where to begin, I mean, obviously something like Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, you can get it for next to nothing, or you can get it actually free on the internet.
You can get it free.
Or you can go to your local library, or you can buy it for 50 cents at a used bookstore or something like that. So that's the continuum from one of the most powerful books that's changed lives for entrepreneurs all over the world that you can get for next to nothing, to the continuum of hiring, somebody who's just, let's say, a social media coach or just a business coach, to somebody who's, at the high end of the scale, coaching and consulting organizations, or, somebody like a Price Waterhouse or a Bain Capital.
And this is not new information. That's what I love about Napoleon Hill is that book is 70 years old? Something like that.
Yeah, maybe more. I think 1937 is the one that is the copyright free edition, but it might have been published sooner than that.
Another great one is The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace Wattles.
Also available for free on the internet, pretty much anywhere, copyright free.
I love that you brought this up, because those two books alone, one, show us that none of this is a conceptual idea that is just burst and is brand new. So in other words, the three of us sitting here talking about investing in ourselves and stepping up and being brave and getting rid of limiting beliefs and finding the answers. The truth is, if you don't know what you don't know, you've got to ask somebody. There's still stuff I don't know. I can't possibly know it all. And if I did, first of all, I wouldn't hang out with me if I were to, pretend that I knew everything. But I'm willing to grow, and I'm willing to learn, and I'm willing to understand. I recognize immediately when limiting beliefs stop me. And I've had a successful business, and this has been a rougher year for me. I have certainly doubted myself, and even walked into my husband and I said, I'm done. And then he has to sit me down and go, now, Joleene, You're not done. And remind me. So we need those constant reminders. So talk to me a little bit about, where are these people? Can we find them in rooms like this? Can we collect with them? Do they have to be fellow speakers and coaches? Who are these people? Where are they?
Well, the great news is they're everywhere, and it's easier than ever now with the web, the net, social media platforms here like Blab, obviously. But, you can go into YouTube and you can type anything that you want to learn: how to start a business, how to start a coaching practice, how to, crochet or knit or play the guitar. And you can find somebody who's probably made a free series of videos that will walk you step by step from the beginner level all the way through to wherever it is you want to get in. You don't have to watch them all. You can pick up anywhere. You can watch 5 seconds, 5 minutes, or 5 hours worth of this stuff. You can quickly get up to speed on just about any topic you want to become an expert in.
Heather?
And Joleene, one of the things that I do is I always use Facebook. Always, always, always. I use Facebook to gauge who I'm talking to, because you can scan somebody's Facebook and get a pretty good sense of who they are. So, if you see 1 or 2 posts, really positive, but then you get down further and you see all this negative stuff, nope.
Absolutely.
Nope, not cutting it for me. Facebook is just such an easy tool for me, and I really do use that to scan people. Even clients, somebody comes to me brand new, I'll go scan their Facebook to know what I'm dealing with. You know what I mean? And I think that's a really good tool. It is important to find other people. The number one thing that I tell people to be more than anything is consistent. And consistency is the hardest thing for people to do. So for me, when I'm scanning that Facebook page, I'm scanning more for consistency than anything. If they're coming to me and they're saying they need some help in business, and I see 1 business post in 2 months time, there's, you know what I mean? They're not being consistent. Or I have coaches that come to me and say, oh, I think I'm going to change who I am. Now I'm the relationship coach. Now I'm the happiness coach. Now I'm the marriage coach. Well, now I'm a women's coach, because there weren't anybody who was coming to me. So I'm just going to do women. And then the next week they say, well, I really don't want to cut off all of the men too, because there's just not enough women to serve. No, there's plenty of people to serve. What you're doing is you're jumping from limiting belief to limiting belief. You're not actually being consistent long enough for something to work. One of my favorite mentors, Josh Shipp, he always says it takes 10 years to be an overnight success. I'll give it 5. I say 5 years. Maybe you're not an overnight success in 5 years, but at least within 5 years, you're well known, you're popular, you're getting calls now, you know what I mean? You're doing that stuff. 5 years. If you're not willing to invest 5 years into yourself or your business, you might as well just go work somewhere, be an employee. Entrepreneurship is not for everybody.
I think what's unfortunate about it is out there on social media, there are a lot of coaches or mentors that are saying, you can do this in X amount of time, X amount of days. My last blab last week was laws and effects, and I had 2 lawyers on here, and we were talking about the stipulations of contracts, what belongs in there. And this is exactly what we were talking about, is that if you don't put something in your contract that says you're responsible for your outcome, and everybody's different. And apparently a lot of the coaches out there that use, whether it's Facebook ads or whatever, to say, make $60,000 in 6 days, they have to make it clear in their contract that either that's absolutely going to happen or it's not. It's just verbiage used for marketing. And I never knew that, but I thought that was great information to have and fascinating, because too often we latch on to those gleaming ads, or Frank, you mentioned free videos. Free is good, but free is only going to take you so far. Right. And if you don't put money on the table, I've had people, and I don't do this anymore. I don't even barter anymore, because even when I barter, I'm going to say I never drop the ball. I hope that I don't, but I show up. I show up on the time I'm supposed to. I show up when I'm supposed to, and I'll be damned if the other person doesn't. Which, I mean, there's so many reasons why I stopped doing that. So I won't barter.
Yeah, I agree with you.
But I'll tell people.
I do the same thing now.
I'll tell people that out.
You have to value your time for other people to value your time. If you're not valuing your time, why would anybody else value it?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it is. And for those of, you mentioned 10 years to be an overnight success. Here is what I know based on my experience. It took me a long time to get some of these things. And then when you forget, it's reminders like this that remind us, oh my gosh, limiting beliefs, they're going to stop me, they're going to block me. I was at a meeting last night. One of the people in the meeting was saying, I finally just learned that worrying about things isn't going to change anything. And you know how they say it takes the right person at the right time? And I've heard that 1,000 times. And all of a sudden I was like, oh my God, he is so right. And I woke up this morning like chipper and bouncing around the room. And I actually talked to my husband briefly, and he's a prosecutor and he's got a really rough case. And he's like, this is really tough. He was self-sabotaging himself with limiting beliefs. And he's won 1 million trials. And I said to him, honey, you were at that meeting last night. Remember what that guy said? And that's the struggle. And that's what I want to talk about now is he knows what to do. Some of us know what to do, but we still can't manage to do it. Why? And what can we shift to make that different?
Yeah, well, again, I think that's where the habituation comes in too. You know, because there are days where it's just sucky. There's days where I don't want to go and do any work. I want to just lay on my couch, you know, and snuggle with my dog, Lucy. It's not I don't have this, you know, ongoing surge of motivation that never leaves me. And that's the one point I want to make too, is that motivation doesn't last. Inspiration does. So when I'm working, especially with young people, I tell the parents, don't try to motivate them, try to inspire them, because motivation doesn't come from an outside source. It only comes from within. You can only motivate yourself, right? So, I mean, I could be the best cheerleader in the whole wide world, Joleene, but if you don't get up and do it, if you don't motivate yourself, if you don't take that action, then it's not going to happen. So that's why I'm Inspired Heather Paris, because I believe in inspiring people. And if you can get somebody to be dedicated and passionate to something, they will have their own motivation, and it'll ebb and flow, you know, but you just have to realize that this is just right now, it's part of the ebb. You know what I mean? We're ebbing right now. It's all right. Give yourself a time limit. So if I get to that point where I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do anything, I will give myself, okay, well, I'm going to take a half a day off. At noon, I'm back at it or whatever, you know? So give yourself a break, give yourself a time limit with it. And then remember the inspiration. You know, I'm not going to just get up every day and do emails and marketing pieces and blah, it's all boring. No, I continue to inspire myself with loads of books. I read up to 10, 20 books a month, literally, by connecting with other like-minded people. And that's another thing. You want to find like-minded, but not necessarily like-skilled. Everyone thinks, oh, she's a coach, I'm a coach, we're perfect. No. You want like values, not like skills.
Here's what that is so imperative. I just want to point something out that Success Sean, thanks for sharing that on Twitter, Sean, I appreciate it. And this reminds me of a Zig Ziglar quote, and tell me if you guys remember it. But he says, motivation always dies, inspiration comes from deep within. It can be like a fountain. He says it's like a 5-hour energy, it doesn't last. Zig Ziglar,
that's right.
About a bathtub, taking a bath every day.
Yes, you take a bath. You take a bath when you're little and you're not done. You've got to do it every single day.
Right.
I got to look this up.
Yeah, forget the quote too, but it was like, you know, motivation doesn't, you know, last. Well, you need it as exercise. That's why you got to do it every day, or eating.
Exactly.
You don't just eat once and say, okay, I ate this lifetime, I'm done. You got to keep eating every day. You got to keep exercising every day. You got to keep motivating yourself. And you need to have strategies around that. You need to have strategies that are, you know, so if inspiration is, you call that a strategy, okay, so that inspiration keeps you going week to week, whatever, but then you also need to have the habits established, you know, your daily rituals, your routines that say, okay, in order for me to motivate myself today, I'm going to have my to-do list of these top 3 things, and these are the things I'm going to accomplish no matter what, whether I take a break or what have you.
People often say that motivation doesn't last. Well, neither does bathing. That's why we recommend it daily. That
exactly. Yeah, that's the quote. That's great.
I had to go and dig that up. And you know, it's funny because, again, it was when I saw that quote that I was like, that's the truth. You don't just read a book and then you're just flying high. Maybe you are for a few days, but you do have to be consistent with it. And I remember having a client, she was into all these books and she was such a great gal. And she was like, how long do I have to practice? I said, for the rest of your life. This is something you have to master for the rest of your life. And if that thought exhausts you, then don't dive into this gig. It's not built for everybody. It doesn't mean that it's right or wrong. Maybe down the road, this is something for you. I never could have done this when I was in my late 20s. There's no way I could have been an entrepreneur. And I see entrepreneurs out there in their early 20s. I'm like, oh my God, I'm so envious of you. I was so frazzled I was working in television, just, I had my sights set on what I thought I wanted. And I had so many limiting beliefs that I actually snuffed out the truth of who it was that I wanted to be. And that's what's happening to a lot of people.
Yeah, this is a lifestyle. It's not a gig. It's not a job. It's not something that we just do. It's a lifestyle.
Right.
And if you want to work for yourself, you have to, people, I'm sure you guys have heard this too. Oh, you work for yourself. How nice. You got all this freedom and time. Like, no, I work twice as much as when I had a real job. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I work way harder. I work nonstop. I'm taking calls 8, 9 o'clock at night. I'm working on weekends, Sundays. Yeah, you know it. I'm always working.
Yeah, I'm working on websites till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning sometimes, or getting up early at 6 a.m. and doing stuff, because that's when you can find.
And the way I stay motivated is because it's not really work.
Right, it's what you love.
Passion. This is my passion. I'm doing what I love. I'm trying to make a difference in the world and leave my mark. And that's why I continue to do it. That doesn't mean that I don't need a refresher sometimes. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. That was a good reminder. I really appreciate that. I think I'm going to put it on my wall. It's going to say, hey, dumbass, don't feel good? Go get a lift from somebody. Go talk to somebody. I don't know if anyone has ever experienced the rooms of AA. But if you've ever been in an AA meeting, there is such support, and people will say, call me if you need me. Let's talk it through. They'll wait for you afterwards. It's a genuine fellowship. And that's the way this is why I created Speaker Pro. I wanted to create a genuine fellowship for these very reasons. When I'm sinking or falling, who can I call to say, hey, do you have 10 minutes? I'm flipping out over here. I just called 17 people and everyone said no to me, So it's good to have that fellowship. And I just, I wanted to throw that in because I thought.
Heather was saying earlier, you want to find like-minded people, not necessarily like skilled people, but like-minded people that you can go to, a group of peers. So years ago, I was in an organization, the Entrepreneurs Organization, if you're familiar with that one. And that's a phenomenal organization because entrepreneurs typically, when you're the CEO of a company, you can't really go to your employees with certain kinds of problems, or you can't really go, to your spouse or a neighbor or whatever. You want to find other people who are dealing with the same level of problem. Like, how do I deal with this technology issue, or this competitive threat issue, or this employee issue? So it's a way for entrepreneurs to get together in sort of a roundtable setting, peer to peer, and bounce ideas off of each other. And what I think was brilliant in our organization is that they don't allow you to give advice. What they allow you to do is, first person makes a presentation to the group, shares your story of what you're struggling with. Let's say it's an employee issue. And then each of the other entrepreneurs takes a couple minutes and can take like 2 to 3 minutes to share a story where they had something that was analogous, what they did in that situation, and then what they.
Did you say analogous?
Yes.
What's analogous mean?
Analogous, like
an analogy.
Oh,
it's like something is like something else.
Like an analogy.
Sorry, I had to make sure I was clear.
Joleene, you are so cute.
Similar experience. So they can share similar experiences, stories of what they did, how that, what they decided to do faced with a similar or a comparable problem, and then what the results were at the end of the day. And then they let the entrepreneur decide for themselves, based on the stories, how they're gonna respond or react to their situation.
Yeah, so there's that fellowship again. I mean, if you don't have it, you've got to find it. So we talked about that. We talked about finding a coach. We talked about if your limiting belief around finding the coach is, oh, I don't have the money, that's exactly why you need a coach. And we also talked about, there is a fellowship, but there's a difference between a fellowship and a mentor. And I want to just circle back around to that because I believe a solid mentor can help you dispel those limiting beliefs, give you the tools that you need. I mean, I have a very dear friend who's also a coach that taught me tapping. And when I first would go to her, I was like, this isn't going to work. And that was my limiting belief. And then one day I was like, wait a minute, you got yourself into this. This is something that works for people all the time. Maybe Jack down the street doesn't believe in it, but that's not important right now. What's important is I am willing to try something different so that I can break out of that, because we all struggle with these mind stories and these self-sabotaging stories. I'm not good enough. I get it all the time. And the worst part is, I love doing this with my eyes, is when something goes wrong. And the perfect example, and I wrote a blog post about it, is I bombed a talk 2 weeks ago. When that happened to me, I was destroyed. And the long and short of it is, the talk was good. It just didn't fit the room. And that's a whole nother story. But when that happened, for like 2 days after that, I said to my husband, I'm going back into TV. And I was looking on local television stations for reporter or producer position. I was done because I let those beliefs just bombard me. Talk to me, either one of you, about the space. And Heather, you touched on this. We need to allow ourselves the space to heal when we're whining.
Yeah, nobody does that. I'm the worst. I fully admit I am the worst. I will just, I'm like, I don't know what, I don't watch football, so I don't know which one it is, the linebacker or whoever it is that pummels through all the big guys. That's what I am. Push, 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 no matter what. I don't give myself a break. I don't allow myself to feel bad. And then it always comes back to bite me in the ass. So I work very, very hard on allowing myself to take a break. One of the things also that I want to mention too, I don't know if you saw my video today, Joleene, but my video today was all about giving back. When you have that level of perspective, it's so much easier to feel good about where you are, even if you mess up one thing or mess up a talk or drop the ball or you're having a hard time coming against these roadblocks. I was at the rescue mission yesterday. And let me tell you, there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in line for food. Wow. When you're doing that kind of work, you have a lot of perspective.
Absolutely.
You don't feel as bad about yourself when you make a mistake or when you have a failure or whatever. So, I'm constantly volunteering. My video today was either volunteer or do a rack, which is a random act of kindness. I talked about using your body. You can donate hair. You can use your legs to join a 5K to raise money for charities. You can open your home to foster animals, to foster kids, to having somebody who needs a meal come over and have a meal. I mean, there's a million different ways to be a philanthropist, which, Joleene, I know you know that I am one. And that, to me, is the number one way to really put your life into perspective and to gain some really good clarity about where you really actually are in life.
Yeah, I love that you said that. Go ahead, Frank.
If I could jump in, yeah. So I'm the organizer of the New York City Basket Brigade, where we feed families in need at Thanksgiving, and we're organizing our brigade right now, and we're jumping up our goals from last year. So last year we fed close to 1,100 people, about 275 families. This year we're going to nearly double that to about 500. And when you do, and when the volunteers who come in and participate in this come in and actually deliver one of those food baskets to a family that otherwise would not have a Thanksgiving meal, the reactions can be just overwhelming and tremendous, and you realize just how far you've come. So I'm a huge believer in philanthropy and giving back, but also just a huge believer in resource experiences, things that people forget to reflect on, things that they've already accomplished in their lives. The fact that you're here on Blab using social media to drive a message of positivity. You're ahead of 95 or 98% of the world out there. You figure that people in a lot of people in India, China, or the world that are living on, you hear the stories, $1 a day or 50 cents a day, and no access to clean water or sewage facilities. I mean, we're so far ahead of the game.
Hold your mic up.
Sorry. Yeah, we're so far ahead of the game.
There, that's better.
I got to get a better mic. So far ahead of the game from the rest of the world. And you've got to take a step back and appreciate that. Or look back at your own career and think of things.
We're losing you, Frank. You're underwater now.
I can't hear what you're saying, Frank.
But you look cute talking. I mean, it's good to see your mouth moving.
Thanks.
His mic is dying. Yeah.
Joleene, were you going to say something, because it looked like you got no, it looked like you got like emotional when I was talking. Did you have a moment?
Yeah, I was thinking of That's exactly what I did when I bombed my talk a few weeks ago. Well, first I bawled my eyes out and I was a big whiner. And then I reached out to people in the National Speakers Association, and I was afraid to post it, but I basically was like, here's what happened. Has this happened to anybody? Because I'm a whiner right now. And not only was the response amazing, people are like, yes, this has happened to me. Oh my God, they started sharing their stories and it lifted me. And now, so this is kind of in comparison of what you're saying. I didn't exactly go and volunteer and help these people, but I sought out people that might have experienced the same thing so they could help me lick my wounds. And what I recognized was when they were helping me, that's exactly what I needed in that moment. So what did I do in turn? And I just want to throw in, 3 of them reached out to me personally by phone. And we had some great conversations. Nice. So now it enabled me and put me back in that space where I've had 2 people reach out to me in the past few days. So my philanthropy is giving them my time to pull them up and out. So yeah, I appreciated that.
That's wonderful.
Yeah,
I read your blog post. It was good, by the way. I loved that.
Thank you.
I'm going to try and talk. Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you'll fade. Yeah. And then we'll cry and whine.
People often bond over, negative emotional experiences or whatever. But you've got to find the people who can help lift you up when you're having those and challenge you. Or,
Yep.
I was talking to my sister the other day. I was complaining about this or that. And she said, "Suck it up, girl."
It's over, Frank. You got to unplug the mic. I love you. I think you're fantastic, but we can't hear you.
Sorry, Frank.
All right.
Sorry, can't hear you.
Thank you. Get some earbuds. Yeah, that's what thanks so much, Frank. Stay in the comments, though, because we're wrapping up. Stay in the comments because we'd love more comments or questions. Success Sean says 4 steps to eliminating limiting beliefs. Write the limiting belief down. Wow, that's great. And then acknowledge that those are beliefs, not truths. 3, try on a different belief. Take different action. And the trick is with that, I agree with it. If it doesn't work the first time, give up. Nothing ever works the first time. When you first got on a bike, it didn't work the first time. How polite are we that we all just smiled and nodded at Frank for a few minutes?
Poor Frank.
He was doing great and he had such great things to say.
He did. Oh, darn microphone.
You're going to need new batteries, my friend, or as Jed said, some earbuds. Yeah, he was great. I appreciate you jumping in. Stacy was supposed to be a guest and she has a bad connection. And Dr. EJ was supposed to be a guest, but he's caught in a doctor's appointment. That's kind of important. And I didn't, think that he should run out to his car and jump on the phone or do whatever with Lab. So I had a great pinch hitter, which is Heather Paris. And then Frank jumped in. So I appreciate all of you joining me. And just to recap, and if there's any more questions or comments, please throw them in. Speaker Pro is a community. It's a platform that I created for speakers so we can touch on every little aspect to help us grow in our careers. And no doubt as speakers, don't tell me none of us has never freaked out on stage or thought, oh my God, I'm not good enough for this. Props to Heather and Frank for jumping in. Totally. I would have been here by myself just staring. No, I would have been talking, but it would have been lonely.
You would have talked. I know it.
I would have, yeah. Heather and Frank, thank you. So even when you're on those stage and you have those moments, here's the deal. There is no magic potion. There are no 5 steps that are going to happen like that. It takes time. It takes desire. It takes hunger. And I know it's going to be difficult sometimes. We have all been there. I know it's just, you just want to throw your head back and say, this is stupid. How did she get there and I didn't? Remember that we wear masks most of the time when we're in public. Mm-hmm. And I like to think that when we're here, we can kind of take them off a little bit and be extremely vulnerable and say, this is what we struggle with. And if you struggle with it, you showed up here because you do, and you want to know what you can do differently. So Heather, just recap 3 things. Recap the habituation, how we can go through habituation. And what was the second thing you talked about? I forget because I wasn't taking notes. But talk to me about the 2 tools we can use before we leave.
Yeah, so find other people like valued, not like skilled, like valued people. That means go-getters, go-givers. One of the things, the quick tip I can give you is to go look up the local Rotary Club. Now, I'm going to be perfectly honest here. I used to think Rotary was only for old people. It's so totally not. It is a great club, and at least in my club, all of the movers and shakers in my community are in that Rotary Club. They're all presidents of companies, CEOs, president of the college. They're all bigwig people. I want to be around those people. That's why I joined Rotary. So surround yourself with like-minded, like-valued, not like-skilled. And secondly, start creating healthier habits. I don't care if you have to, I literally write everything in my phone, like everything, exercise. So it says it every single day. I schedule that time out so that it becomes a habit. Because if I don't, I will let it slide. And then if I let it slide 1 day, 2 day, 3 day, it's no longer, I'm not doing it anymore. So what else? What else did you want me to talk about?
We talked about
that was 2 things.
Yeah, we talked about so many different things. I just want to
we covered a lot.
I want to make sure we give people tools, because I think that when people show up in places like this or workshops or talks, I really think they're expecting a magic bullet. And here's what I know. And what I know is, and I mentioned earlier, if you've ever spent time in the rooms, one of the things they always say, and I'm talking about if anyone's ever experienced AA, they always say, wait for the miracle. Don't stop before the miracle. Don't stop before the miracle. And that's what keeps people coming back, because they know everyone else has had this experience. They have arrived. And so you will too. Just don't stop before the miracle.
I just thought of something too. You had mentioned those things you see on Facebook, like make 60 grand in 6 days. Listen, that's not a coach or a mentor. You want somebody that's going to walk the long road with you. If they're telling you, I will make you 60 grand in 6 days, it's BS. Run. That is not somebody that you want to connect with. You are a customer to them. You are not a peer. You want to find somebody like myself or like Joleene, who is a coach, who will walk with you every step of the way, who is not telling you, yes, I can get you 60 grand in 6 days. They're going to say something like, I will get you to where you want to be, but it's going to take time, and it is going to take effort. If they say it's effortless, it's the whole thing. If it's too good to be true, if it sounds too good to be true, it is. A good coach is going to give you the honest truth about what it entails. And guess what? It's a long road. I mean, there's some things that happen quickly, absolutely. But when you want to get from A to Z, you can't skip any letters.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate your time. We are literally at the 3 o'clock mark, and I promise to keep this in for 60 minutes. All of you that are here, thank you for joining me. Next Tuesday on Speaker Pro, I'm bringing in 2 published authors, and we're going to talk about the difference between self-publishing and traditional publishing, and how either venue can serve you in your entrepreneurial journey. So thank you, everybody, for Speaker Pro. I hope you come visit me next Tuesday. Thank you, Heather. Yes, Frank,
You're
next
welcome.
time. You guys have
Joleene,
a great day. Yeah.
Can I tell everyone how to get a hold of me if they want to?
Yes, please. I'm sorry. Yes.
Okay, that's okay. So I'm on Facebook as Inspired Heather Paris on Facebook, or you can go to my website, liveinspirednow.com. Joleene, thanks so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. And thank you, Frank. Frank put his there too. Thanks, everybody.